The role of the boundary spanner is frequently highlighted as being important in development. They bring stakeholders together, cultivate trusting relationships, facilitate building shared visions, and foster collaboration. We asked leaders in development to discuss this and share successful examples of boundary spanning leadership.
I was appointed by the Commonwealth Minister for Health in the early 2000s to be chair of a ministerial committee on Indigenous sexual health and bloodborne viruses. So in chairing that committee, I had all the stakeholder groups at the table, and this included the gay men's groups, the HIV positive people, the Injecting Drug Users League, the sex workers groups, the drug and alcohol councils, and I think it's fair to say that there was quite a range of issues at the table, and it's probably the first time in my life I worked with marginalised groups within a marginalised context, and navigating my way through the very different sets of needs that each of those groups had, the competing priorities that they brought to the table with limited resources, the different contexts in which HIV and hepatitis transmission occurred, and feeding that into national policy was a very challenging role, but one that I believe we successfully as a team led.
I think I've been able to play the role of a boundary spanner almost every day, because I work in the research department of the bank, and yet obviously the real money and the real activity really that the bank is engaged in is much more in the operational space. And then you're trying to function across very different country boundaries as well. Within a government, you're working with the national government, because that's who the bank's main interlocutor is, but we're also trying to work with local professional groups and local governments as well. So in the work here in Malaysia, for example, we are setting up a whole new office, and I am trying just within this building, trying to act as a broker between the world of research and the world of practice and the world of policy. That bridge is always invoked. Like, we always talk about being evidence-based in terms of what we do, and that would mean that there would be a role then for researchers to contribute, but that's not always how policy works, and so there's a whole bunch of other things one has to incorporate into that. More broadly, here in this office in Malaysia, we've got people working in very different areas on finance and markets. You've got people working on poverty, you've got people working on agriculture, and those are all whole realms of expertise that can take many years, decades, just to get to a point where one is really professionally competent in that. And so my role is to work very much with these different constituencies of people, both between the research and practice divide, but even within the different areas that we work in, we have to try and figure out how to connect very different forms of expertise.
There's a number of different ways that one can play the role of boundary spanner. For me, the most energising is around being able to move between different locations, especially when they're dealing with similar problems. And so that gives me then the privilege of being able to see the different ways that different project teams, different countries are dealing with similar issues. So to give one example, in some of my work in Africa, working across a number of different countries in East and West Africa, a number of them currently are dealing with issues of land degradation and the impact that has on food security for remote communities. Now, there was countries in, let me say, Ethiopia, for example, who were well advanced in developing a particular approach to agroforestry that was really conducive to, say, financially constrained, very remote communities. So I was able to sort of share the learnings that were working very well there with some of my West African colleagues to give them some insights and experiences that they otherwise wouldn't be aware of or wouldn't be able to tap into. Now, that was both then being able to share some of the intellectual capital, some of the how-to kind of guidance, but then also arrange some exchange of people as well, so that they could see firsthand how other people were tackling these things, being able to bring some of that knowledge and that first-hand kind of witness kind of experience back into their own countries and their own communities to make that happen. And that really allowed fantastic change to accelerate very rapidly. And that for me is kind of a key benefit of being a boundary spanner, kind of being that cross-pollinating bee, moving from patch to patch and allowing that flow of information that wouldn't otherwise happen.
In early 2000, in 2002, we got a project in Lampung province in the Wais Putih watershed. Wais Putih watershed is a big dam supported by the World Bank. The development of the dam was supported by the World Bank. And we found that finally, because of the bad preparation, the water is not enough to watering all of the land, agricultural land. So it was create problem between farmer in the top and also in the tail, the fighting to get water. And we came there to help to solve the problem. And we found that there are three different groups of people who involved in the management of the watershed. One is the people from the agriculture department who responsible to produce enough rice for the province and also for the country. The other is the farmer who need profit from their land, from the planting rice. And the third group is the intellectual from the university and also from the NGO. So we found that the three different groups, they have a different idea of how to solve the water problem in Wais Putih watershed. Because before, each group tried to push their idea to others without any good communication. And the result was fighting. And some of them are dead because of the water conflict. But after that, after 3 years, we worked with them. We found that finally 3 of them come with a good idea and try to solve the problem. For example, for the intellectual, they provide the good input from the technical aspect of how to manage the water in watershed. For example, they said that they must the government must stop on expanding the agricultural land because the water is not enough. And then the intellectual also said that the watershed should be split in the 3 areas, in the top, in the middle, and also in the tail. And they come with the suggestion that in the top, most of the people in the top are local people, to get support to improve the environment so that in the top they can serve the water more during the rainy season. And then from the bureaucracy, from the agriculture department, they come with the idea to lower the target of rice production, and they try to become, realistic with the target of production. And then from the farmer side, they come with a solution not to plant rice 3 times a year because the water consuming for rice is very high, so they reduce the planting rice only 1 or 2 times a year, and then the other time they plant secondary crops like soybean.